Hi, welcome to the GF channel. Today's episode is long overdue. We're going to talk about this overhead console, which a user on YouTube asked me where I got it from, and I decided, since I have all the footage of how to mount this, to just release it. It's been with me for over a year and a half. It's part of the project where I actually have this phone. Oops, sorry. Yeah, I even have the buttons working now. It's where this phone is instead of a CD or whatever Android here, you have this unit. I hit issues with overheating and freezing, so I'm not quite sure if I'm going to release anything overall. So let's just release that. Anyhow, the footage is very long, and it will be multiple episodes for this if I am to release it. So let's just split it. I'm going to now show you how I installed that, and afterwards we are going to talk about after a year and a half what are my impressions. Hi, welcome to the GF channel. Today and in the coming months probably, we are installing a GPS navigation system and audio entertainment system in the 626 by using an overhead console from Mazda 3 BL, that's the second generation. The idea is the following. It's supposed to sit here, and like that opens the tray for glasses. Instead of tray for glasses, of course, we're gonna place here a phone. And just by sitting like that, if you look to the front and then to here, you see the road exactly the same as if you look to the front and go down to here for a regular navigation. So I do not believe that the position will be not comfortable. It should be quite well. Question is, can we fit it here? So I'm gonna remove now this thing called headliner. I'm gonna remove it and see. I've seen on the internet people do it on 323 BJ with exactly the same overhead console, so I'm hoping I'll be able to fit. The way that you actually stick this to the ceiling, of course, is gonna be improvised, but I got all the parts. So we have this here, which like that, which actually you place on top of your headliner, and then you squeeze like that, and your headliner actually goes here. But that's not the driving force, of course. You have this metal plank here. Let me check how it was. Yes, like that. That clips on those strong clips, those two here. And then this one actually has softeners for not hitting and producing noise on the roof. And they're hole here, here, and here for actual screws. There seems to be some pins. Of course, we're going to improvise. We may do other holes and stuff like that. And as you can see, also here there are some holes. But the main part is these here. These are here, and the rest we're going to figure out how to do, if this actually fits up there. Now, this particular one comes with a light here that comes out of this one. It's a blue light that when lit, it lights over here. Your shifting mechanism is being lit. Of course, I'm gonna change it to green because you cannot adjust it. If the position that, if I'm able here to add it here, then I'll actually see if the angle is proper and hits in the proper spot. If that's true, I will actually then change it with green one. And the cable, of course, I got the cable. And this is the cable. It comes with 5 wires. 2 of those 5, I believe those farmost 2, are exactly for this one. So this gives me the total control of how do I want it connected. Now probably connected with the adjustment switch here, so I can adjust the light intensity. We'll see. And then you have another 3 wires. One is constant 12 volts, one is constant ground, and one is ground coming from the door switch. In some cases like the facelift, it comes from, I don't know, instrument cluster, I believe, because instrument cluster actually controls these things. There is a procedure you can test from here. So anyhow, those 3 wires, they actually exist here. So they are here, you have them, no worries. And this is gonna work and mimic exactly the same thing as the one that we already have. So these, when on door, these are gonna lit and then slowly fade out. When on, it's gonna be always on, and on off, it's gonna be always off. No problem with that. Here, let me show you this one. This needs to be cut down like that. This needs to be cut down, and you have enough space. I actually placed here a 4-inch, some old Samsung I had. It fits perfectly. I could probably get, of course I do not want an old phone. I will probably get a new one of those widescreen ones that are a bit taller when you hold them like that, so I can utilize better the space. I chose the Mazda 3 overhead console, not the Mazda 6, for 2 reasons. Well, at first I was searching for Mazda 6, but the guy I got this one from, I get from time to time spare parts from him, showed me pictures, because on the Mazda 6 the way that it's bolted onto the top is here and here. There are 2 holes in which you place screws. Apparently they all broke off, and when you search on the internet you can find lots of new overhead consoles for the 6, not for the 3. So this means they actually have a defect. That's what he told me, and that's what I found out on the internet too. And another reason is on the 6, this locking pin here that locks the drawer is actually in the middle. So I do not like it in the middle, because it's gonna be it's gonna reduce the visibility of the phone. So I'm gonna remove it. And there are no holes here in this drawer. I'll need to make some holes. I chose overhead console without sunroof, because there is space in here. There is quite a lot of space here. I'll place logic for the phone, for conversion from 12 volts to 5 volts to power on the phone. So wires are gonna go to there somehow. I'm gonna drill it at an appropriate place. And also I need wires to go out of the phone, because phone is gonna do 2 things. Not only GPS, actually 3 with the GPS, but we need a backup camera at the rear, which I want. One of the things that I need to search for the phone is to support OTG. So when you plug in external camera, it actually detects that it's an external camera and automatically launches an app for that. I need to get out of here cables towards the trunk, so I mount my camera there for reverse gear, use the power of 12 volts at the back, so I can just turn on the camera and phone actually is gonna just pop the view for rear camera on, and an audio cable. Now this player that I have here, unfortunately the aux in is on the front, so this leaves me with two possibilities. Possibility number one is replace it with another one, but since I actually bought this one like 2-3 months ago, I don't remember, actually Black Friday last year, so I wouldn't just spend another money for that. And also I do not like having it here anyhow, so my plan is to just remove it from here, hide it somewhere, and then this is gonna fit with a new steering wheel from Mazda 6, so I have the volume and the mode set from here, and I do not need to see anything here because my music is gonna come anyhow from here. And if I want radio, yeah, that's the only drawback. I won't see which radio station I'm on, but I don't really use radio. And volume, of course, from here I'll be able to control the volume. I believe that's gonna cover this one, and that is the whole plan. So let me start with disassembling the car to remove the headliner and see what happens on top. Okay, so I've removed the headliner, and I'll tell you how in a bit. And I have placed here the overhead console. So currently it's there. If I press firmly, you can see the holes for mounting here, and you can see that it's not happy. But keep in mind, this is the whole thing there. We need to cut and place a little bit off up to here. The problem is we also need this one there, so maybe in the end it's gonna be a little bit of stress on the headliner, but I don't think it's that bad. Okay, so how to remove it? Well, apparently you have to remove the sun protectors or visors or whatever they're called, both of them. This gave me the biggest trouble here. The bolts were extremely tightened, so keep in mind there could be. Same goes there, but these were not as tight, and this wasn't as tight. There are 3 fasteners at the back, at the top. Oh, those 3 you need to remove. Okay, and then the pillars. A pillar, this here is B pillar, so that there is A pillar, B pillar, and C pillar. As you can see, the C pillar I just peeled off of the top. All of them you remove just by grabbing from the top, where, and this is soft, so you put your fingers there and start pulling. They're gonna come off easily, this one and that one. These have additional things that hold them, but they're not required if you want to remove this. And the hardest part is here. As you can see, my belt is actually I've took precautions so it doesn't go all the way down, because you need to remove this one here. It's just a bolt. The cover there, you get a flathead screwdriver. Let me somewhere there, it will be hard to find it. So you basically put a flathead at the bottom, and when you start pushing, it's gonna pop on the top. It's quite easy to pop the plastics which surround this bolt. Then unbolt it. See, actually there it is, just without the cap. So there is a cap here. This is your button that sits on top, and if you put a flathead here and just push, it's gonna actually pop from here. and you might need to do on both sides. On one of the seat belts it actually took off the whole thing when I popped from here. On the other one I had to do it from here and from here. Okay, and in the end you need to remove, of course, the lamps here, and you see this one that I'm currently using to hold the whole headliner. This one, when you push the headliner to the front, it's just a clip, nothing special. You see, it's absolutely nothing special to it. Just pull the whole thing to the front and it's gonna pop. I believe that's it. This one, these pillars, yes, that's how you remove it. It's like half an hour thing. Don't worry about the covers, by the way, and the door panels. I'm filming a few things at the same time, so that's why I have lots of things disassembled. Okay, so this seems to be working. Now I have to figure out exactly where should I cut it. And first, actually, let's first figure out how this is gonna stay. Is there any space there, anything to tighten it to? So I'm gonna actually now remove and show you the roof without the headliner. Okay, I did some measurements and I also figured out that I can reverse this thing, which gives me a little bit more comfort of how it's gonna work. But the problem is, without that, this has the height of 52 millimeters, minus 2 millimeters this, because this is gonna be outside. This gives it 50 millimeters height without the metal plank. Here we have 17 millimeters, and here we have about 26 measured from here, following the same curve. So if I place something straight, it actually goes towards the ceiling, which is wrong because everything follows the same curve. So it's a rough estimation. 26 plus 17, 43. So we have 7 millimeters difference for this one, even without the metal. That's, I think, too much. I am still gonna actually cut it, because as I showed earlier, this, when you place it here, when you place it on this, actually gives a few millimeters difference. So this could stick out more and then just fill with something that's the same color. It's gonna look stock. So this will give me a few millimeters, maybe 3, I don't know, 4. And I'm hoping this is gonna bend the rest. Now I'll place this back on with this like that. Just orient myself, how is it working. And after banging for a bit, I believe that's the maximum this plank could go in here. That's the result. It's actually so strong that it's pretty easy to take this off. So I'll now try to adjust this thing properly in or out, to get the best results to here and show you the best I could get. And that's the best spot I could find. There is like a finger space here, but still, no matter where you place it, there is bump. Other than that, I believe that I have to just drill here, because it's not gonna just work automatically. There is always a bump. I need to actually remove, cut it here so I can see how big the bump is, and if it's too big, just get a new headliner. If not, which I believe it's fixable, just fix whatever needs to be fixed after installing. So, how to cut this thing properly? Well, this is the frame. You just have to place it on top, and as you can see, it hits bottom. When it hits bottom, you draw the line, make the squarish thing. It's not exactly square. Of course, you have to measure from here and from there to be in the middle, and then do the square. Then I actually did cut a little bit less, as you can see, just to make sure to figure out how to cut it, because it turns out this thing is quite strong, like you might be able to see right here if you look at different angles. This I actually drilled with a knife. There is a hole here, and I pushed quite hard, and this is elastic on this side, and it's extremely durable. After all, it's made for dumb users to use it, like me. It has to be extremely durable. But once you actually make a puncture in it, then it's easy to cut. I used, of course, a board knife, I believe it's called, and then scissors for cutting off the excess. Once I started removing small pieces, as you can see, there is not of this grating on top. It actually was left there, so use the scissors to just remove it. I believe that's it. That's how you cut it. That's how it looks cut. Not quite as stock as this, even though this doesn't seem that different also. And the LED was soldered, the green one. As you can see, it's a bit taller, but let me plug in the power. But if I start placing it here, we first start at the bottom, like that. We hit the bottom. Now when I tilt it, you can see the bottom doesn't actually go up, so it doesn't actually hit anywhere, the longer LED, which you can see inside. I doubt with camera you can see, but if you look closer, you'll see that the LED actually doesn't hit the bottom. So being longer doesn't actually have any negative benefits. Other than that, what I did here with choosing, so I chose this LED. As you can see, it has 30 milliamps with 2.1 volts forward voltage, and if we do a calculation for this one, we are gonna see for 14.4 volts, because this LED will actually only lit when car is running. Well, you could basically lit it without car running, but most of the time it will be when the car is running. So it's better to take the higher voltage. So I chose 14.4, and I entered those two that I just showed you here, forward voltage and the forward current, And it said to me that I should have a resistor of 470 ohms. Now the interesting part is here I have placed the colors for the existing resistor, and as you can see the resistor is exactly 470 as this one. Now the blue one has usually different parameters here. What differs though is this 1 watt. This here definitely doesn't look like 1 watt, it should be thicker. This looks like either a quarter or half a watt. Come on, focus with the light on. Apparently doesn't want to focus. So it's not that thick. For now I'm not gonna change it. I'll see what happens. This is currently being powered on 12 volts. If I switch this to 12 volts, what will happen? I have no idea. Less of resistance and only half a watt. So it doesn't seem to be heavy on it currently. I can hold my finger. I do not feel any warmth. So at 14 volts it might be different story. We'll see when I go to the car. But that's what I chose, that's what I'm gonna try to fit with. And keep in mind, I still do not know if this is actually gonna point to the right direction. I might even just remove this feature. Okay, I have here the temperature of the resistor. It does seem quite high. So I guess I really need to change this resistor for something higher. Something that is not gonna burn when I actually go to 14 volts, because currently 12 volts and it's at points I see 63 degrees Celsius, which is too high for 12 volts. 14 volts probably is gonna go above 100. Bad things happen. So that's the setup for wiring of the bulbs, not the LED for now. So out of these are the LED here, the two. I'm gonna do a video on them in a bit. This one is the carrying ground, so from 0 to 12 volts from the speedometer, which connects to the red and white cable here. Then the blue with red is the other one, which connects to here. This one, that's constant 12 volts. And the ground I get again from the same hole that the regular overhead lamp does. It's constant ground. With this setup, this overhead console works as expected. And you press those, they work. If you go to constant on, they work. And now if I open the door, they work. So if I press here off, they do not. And when I close it, it dims a bit, and it's gonna dim out in a bit. Of course, I'm gonna change those bulbs with LEDs, but that's after everything is done. And here you go. So that's the way it's supposed to be connected. I'm gonna do that now. Cut here, solder, and I plan on using one of those ringy things for this cable and just place it here where I screw this thing in, and then I'm gonna do this one. And that's the prototype of connecting the LED. and that's the cable going towards there, and from it we have one black wire and one brown wire. These two, the black one is for ground, so that's the minus of the LED, that's the plus of the LED. I managed to find cables from a 6 to 6 installation which are for the buttons, so this is all in 6 to 6, all the coloring, all the backlight of all the buttons use the same color. It's this thing which is, I don't know, light green, tannish, don't know, with black, and this white with red. This one has 12 volts on it, while this one has from 2 to 12 volts depending on the position of the backlit set switch, this one here. So we should connect this one, which is always 12 volts, to the positive lead of the LED, and the black one, which is the negative lead, we connect to the lower voltage. And I think that's it. You will just connect those. I wrapped the cables, and it comes to here. I took it from the first button. You can see the two colors right here, like that, same coloring, and they go up. I'll see. I believe this cable is gonna be enough to go through here, something like that, with the original one. I do not want to do it from here because most of the cable will be always already here, so I'll have to do this and then up to here anyhow. So better do it up to here anyhow and then this. Let me show you how it's working. You turn on your lights, and now the LED is here. It's lit. Probably you cannot see. Yes, like that. And now if I start turning the switch down, on camera it's not very visible. That's dimmest thing. That's the brightest thing. Dimmest, brightest. It's working. That's it. Now I'm gonna pull the cables through and actually close this thing. Pull those cables through, pull those cables through, pull those cables through, and close the thing. Okay, I've done the cabling. This one should go somewhere here. There's plenty of cable left. Should not make any noise with this. Hoping, we'll see. This one I plan to make it on this hole here. This one goes to the original overhead lamp. There's a little bit of access cable here. I've used duct tape. I didn't use, so here, all the way I have some duct tape instead of cable ties because I'm afraid of noise. And goes like that, goes through here, and then this is it, goes inside of the button that I showed you earlier. One cool thing I just found out is that the size of the light bulb here on this Mazda 3 overhead console is absolutely the same as the one in our Mazdas. And here I should take a side note. I know for a fact, because a friend of mine has the same 6 to 6, but it is not the OBD model. For some reason, for the OBD model they did change the size of these bulbs in the trunk, so he has a hatchback like me, and mine are the same, interior one and the one in the trunk the same. His is bigger, the one in the trunk. For me they're the same, which is good. Now I'll have 4 of those total. Okay, so year and a half later, what are my impressions? Well, first off, it's hardly visible. Here you can actually feel it. Here it's a little bit tighter, then here there is a play, and here there isn't any. I cannot even fit the finger. Here it's a little bit more visible because this whole thing is actually bent outwards, and the whole ceiling is now, headliner is now tilted. That's issue number one, which is not a problem. Some crap there. Issue number two is with the LED. It doesn't hit where it's supposed to, so it's supposed to be on the shifter. Instead, with me it hits around here. Reason for that is, first, apparently I mounted it more to that direction instead of that direction, which explains this part, and this part is because you cannot go further to here, so you're never going to hit this anyhow. If you decide not to do it, you won't lose much, but I still like the atmosphere it gives when driving on outside is like pitch black. I like it, it's good. There are no noises coming from here, nothing broke, and since I'm in the underground I constantly use those LED. They do not seem to change color from the constant heat. It's an LED, but still I use powerful LEDs and they still produce heat. Overall, I'm happy. I cannot complain. Maybe if this doesn't if this doesn't actually work out, I'm going to just grab another tray and convert it back to a glass holder. We'll see. Okay, that's all. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit subscribe. I'll be posting more videos soon. Bye bye.